Okay, I'm going to read an excerpt from my novel Yams Do Not Exist. This is the section Yella and the Yams, from where the title comes from. And so that the Yams Do Not Exist title is in here. The other thing to mention is that it features a revival of an event that happened in the 80s, which was in Osborne Village, the Osborne Village Safeway in particular. There was an 80s singles night that was quite lively, and so they revived it a few years back, and so I ended up writing this story and setting it at that actual event. I'm not saying I went there, but I set it there, and I came up with the whole yam sweet potato thing, and so it just started to build on that. Farinata was, as usual, deep in contemplation about the precarious future of Ars Longa in the popcorn aisle when it occurred to him that the Osborne Village Safeway was busier than usual. Was it a murder or a parliament or a gaggle of prairie gals who were checking him out to such a degree that he dropped his bag of mountain trail mix and made himself scarce? Something like that. He accepted a few pieces of cheese on sticks before returning to the abandoned trail mix. On the spot, he was handed a predicament in the form of a rose, just as the Dazzler came into view, with her excellent legs descending into Louis XV heels. The second she caught his eye, she stashed a burger in a box and macaroni accompaniment behind a display pyramid of toilet tissue rolls. With nary a greeting, she accepted the rose and leaned her intriguing head against his right shoulder. "I'm Yella. Walk me to the fruit and veg?" "Is this rose for me?" "Oh, thanks." Yella happened to be an aspiring actor, who gave each of her pronouncements an elaborate nasal inflection. This charming quirk is not beyond our powers of description or even our comprehension, but why bother? Surely you know the type. In any case, her nuanced explanation tickled Farinata to the toes. Apparently, the Safeway in Osborne Village had agreed not to eject or maim participants in a massive singles night that involved a glam game of romantic rollerball that had taken place at some point in the sparkly 1980s. Once his general mirth had subsided, he began to feel a vague moral crisis slinking closer and closer, or was that Yella, that posed a threat to his vague arrangement with the Mädchen. Could he, in perfectly clear conscience, sidle up to such a phenomenal pair of legs while fondling a pair of mammoth yams? He elected to broach the subject with Yella, so that they knew from the starting gun how things would roll, but she cut him short. There's a footnote here. Okay, we have introduced a starting gun, but that doesn't necessarily mean anyone will use it. He elected to broach the subject with Yella so that they knew from the starting gun how things would roll, but she cut him short. "Nonsense. They don't even exist." "Excuse me?" "Yams, silly. Yams do not exist." "Then what am I stroking?" "Good sir, that is a sweet potato." "Okay, so maybe yams do exist, but not on this continent, except in very rare cases. Yams are just part of this major marketing ploy. Don't you see that's how they get you? Don't let them get you." "Really? I had no idea." "The folks at YamFest know the truth, but someone got to them. I tried to bring them down from the inside until they canned me to get me out of the way. Now they claim that Sweet Potato Fest is too long to put on their posters, but I know better." The grudgingly handsome pair soon forsook all thought of commerce for the evening. Yella led him along River Avenue, pressing close to ward off what was only very mild minus weather. After she had described the potential threat to the gas station theater in the form of a combined arts center and living complex that would demolish her youthful memories, she brought him to a little snowy park, where by the light of the moon she unpacked her heart. She told him everything, or at least as much as she had been able to piece together. She revealed that the yam, which is a monocot at a veritable distance, has but one embryonic seed leaf to its name. On the other hand, the sweet potato, our near and dear friend, is a dicot with two such seed leaves and politely disassociated itself around 200 million years ago. Surely we can forgive African slaves, say on George Washington's farm, for finding comfort in this soft member of the morning glory family and bestowing upon it the moniker of something they had adored in their homeland, namely the yam. Controversy over the sweet potato's false name waged on until the 1930s, when the truth of the matter was definitely quashed or squashed by the promotion of beneficial qualities of these popular orange products, a widespread scheme cooked up, by the Louisiana Agricultural Experiment Station. Although the tines of fate left their mark in 1937, when the Louisiana industry officially appropriated the term yam as part of a national marketing campaign. Sweet potato vines were swiftly trellised onto fences so that stress would compel them to flower for this insatiability on the rise. Such is the bittersweet legacy of the breeding program that will not cease until we have tasted the perfect sweet potato in Yam's clothing. Until that glorious day, the world must make do with Acadian, Beauregard, Bienville, Bonita, Centennial, Darby, Earlyport, Eureka, Gold Rush, Heart of Gold, Hernandez, Jasper, Julian, Lacan, Murasaki 29, Pelican Processor, Queen Mary, Ranger, Travis, and White Star. She would not even get into 05-11107-146 or the elongated stigma of Cologne 96-117. Yet by any other name, the yam was still a lie. The truth was confined to small print next to invisible beside the glossy and large lettering for that mendacious word, yams. Not only was the consumer cheated, even in the ontological sense, out of the yam in reality, but it was entirely possible for allergic unfortunates to perish, with the root cause, being mislabeled sweet potatoes. She was only comfortable with sharing this much on a first date. A second date might involve guerrilla action at the Safeway where they had first met. Farinata stared at the semi-frozen Assiniboine thoughtfully. Evangeline. Yella nodded with a small, sweet smile and clasped his hand tightly. She had forgotten the Evangeline sweet potato, and the gentleman had conveniently dredged up this obscure fact about convolvulation from somewhere in the vast supraconsciousness. They soon found their way across the bridge that led into Norwood. Farinata measured this comradely experience with care against his usual solipsism. By now he was quite at home with his own extremes. He could not recall a time when he had not been a yo-yo between decadent indulgence and ascetic aestheticism, even on those innumerable nights when the naked page would not have him or his delicate scribblings. If the Furies thought they could catch him napping, they would have to arrange themselves around his erratic spells of segmented sleep, for he was all hunter-gatherer with nothing left to hunt or gather. Still, it was a pleasant shock to run across a rose in a heaving bosom, a wonderful addition to his nocturnal peregrination. They passed St. Boniface Hospital, reflecting on personal losses and questions of mortality. Then along Tash Avenue they came to the illuminated facade of the old church, where for a nominal fee people could have their wedding photos taken beside a barrel of safety sand that was not far from the former remains of Kapayaka Stokam. The Cree chief, otherwise known as One Arrow, had been convicted of treason for his participation in the Northwest Rebellion of 1885. Farinata liked the ambiguity of this upstart, considered a minor figure in Manitoba, who had returned to Saskatchewan a hero after his spirit had made a special request to do so. His tombstone bore his last words, "Do not mistreat my people." Yella squeezed Farinata's hand tighter, steering the conversation back to wedding photos. They strolled on. Then she stopped in her tracks and pointed. The Furies? No, she's trying to stare down the candified man who appeared perpetually ready to doff his candified top hat. The Nutty Club man. How I hate having his eyes on me.